Cool. All right. Hello. Welcome to Image Builder Office Hours, our bi-weekly meeting. This is not April. This is May. This is May
20th.
20th. Oh, I got that all wrong. May 20th. May 20th. And we do this every 2 weeks. And as I'm sure you're well aware, if you're here or if you're watching the recording, we are a sub-project of Kubernetes SIG cluster Lifecycle. And as such, we try to make these meetings and all of our efforts comply with the code of conduct, which you can read about. I think oh no, we don't have a link here. But basically it boils down to let's make this a welcoming environment and try not to talk over each other. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom, although there's probably only going to be 2 or 3 of us at the meeting, so it's generally not necessary. But this is what we say at the beginning of the meeting. There's also a time here for new people to introduce themselves, but since it's just you and me, Marcus, I'm pretty sure that's not necessary. So let's get right into it. Drew should be here soon, but in the meantime, I'll take the first item. Just wanted to check in on supporting the new Ubuntu release that came out a little less than about 3 weeks ago. There's no real business driver here. I just felt like Image Builder, by necessity has been very reactive. And I knew that everybody wants Ubuntu, so I thought we'd try and get out ahead of this and merge support as soon as we could, and it's gone pretty well. You can see Nutanix was first. These other 3 are in here, although someone reported actually having problems using the AWS 2404 image, and I chatted with them for a while on Zoom, and they were going to put a bug report in, and I haven't seen that show up, so I don't know if that means they gave up, but there may still be something to test there. Because I admit I didn't go as far as booting and cluster and testing workloads. I was just looking at the images were saying, and they passed the Gauss tests, but that doesn't necessarily mean everything's. I guess we're relying on the community to fill in testing where we don't have automated testing. And then there's 2 outstanding, and I don't know what the criteria are for closing this. I don't suppose it's necessary to support every option we have because that. So maybe once we get VMware merged, which I know they're having a bit of a technical issue. I'm not really sure how to help out there. And then GCE should be able to merge, just that Canonical has not yet published the sort of vanilla 2404 image that we have been using up till now. There's the pro image. So I'm just waiting for another tile to show up here, and then we should be able to retest and merge. So that's all. That's my little progress report on Ubuntu 2404. If anybody, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's the issues with VMware? Do you know?
Let's go look. I think they were still having problems just SSHing in or something like that. Let's see. Oh, where am I? Fix the linter stuff eventually.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah, and you
look at this.
Try to give him a pointer on vSphere. Oh, and yeah, I'm not sure if Karen's really even available anymore.
Yeah.
But it's worth asking. Yeah, so I think that's where we are. This doesn't.
Yeah, get stuck at the SSH phase again. We've seen this a few times for different reasons, haven't we?
Yeah, so if anybody has any clue there, I'm sure they could use help. I don't actually have access to vSphere, so I don't know how to test this. Yeah, anyway, just checking in on progress on that. I think it's gone pretty well overall. Oops. Check out my Russian lesson. Did I close the wrong window? Where is it? Oh boy. Oh, now we're off in the weeds. Let's open a new window. I don't get anything on this recording that I'm not interested in sharing. There we go. Okay. that's all I had on Ubuntu. Marcus, do you want to talk about the new release and then we'll get to the real topic?
Yeah, not really much to say. Just it'd been a while since we did one. Got it out early today. There's quite a few changes in there. Some of the changes are the Ubuntu 24.04 for the various providers that you've been doing, which is great to see. Don't know if there's anything particularly noteworthy that people need to be aware of in that.
There's some new Red Hat 9 or RHEL
Yeah,
support.
there was a few new images and stuff. Just a bunch of fixes.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Looks like a good one. All right. Hey, Drew, sorry we got started a little early, but
Yeah, sorry, I got stuck in a call. So I didn't get a chance to join straight away. I didn't see the time either. So it's a good job you prodded me, Marcus. So I'm like, hey, I need to go. So this is I'll get straight into it with this. So this is purely off the back of some work I've been doing at work. So I was tasked with basically setting up a source image in OpenStack, and I kind of sat there going, this is a lot of Packer and Ansible work. And I went, hey, you know what? I know a project that's already done most of the work around that. It's called the Image Builder project. Let's take a look and see what I can do. So I was kind of looking through and I went, I can pull a lot of the Kubernetes stuff out because it needs to be a bit more generic, just flat Linux. So I was like, pull the Kubernetes stuff out, get being a little bit inspired by it and all that. And then I was just going to do it as a JSON kind of setup the way we have it now. And then I started getting a few people going, yeah, but we use HCL. So in what we kind of wanted to do. It's like, oh, okay. So I've got to migrate all this over to HCL. Is it going to be painful? So I took the OpenStack one as an example. So obviously that's what I was working in, and it's what I've done obviously in this project as well. And it actually wasn't that painful. It was a little bit painful. There's a couple of elements that, I had to work around. But on the whole, it did work. Now, if you let me quickly share my screen, I'll just show you a quick example.
yeah.
So I can't share at the moment. One sec.
Yeah, let me make you co-host. Should do it.
So I'm just going to show one file as an example. That's all. In one of the ways that I thought, actually, this has made it a little bit easier for me. Now, let me make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Here we go. So I'll share this. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, for example, this one. Now, I'm sure we'll all agree that this here is quite painful to see in a pull request when one change happens on this single line. So that was the main place I saw it. So for example, here, this probably isn't the prettiest HCL, and it's been a while since I've done it, so forgive me if it is ugly, but you can see straight away it's actually line by line. So if I added a new one, you'd see a pull request. It's just one line change. It's quite nice. And then I just went through kind of looking at how I could do this. So you can see I've converted all of the JSON over here on the left to, here's an example of one of them, and then just throw that into HL, PK bars. And I did the OpenStack as well. So obviously in the old OpenStack way was I had all these, JSON files going, whereas now I've got just, some variables defined. Obviously these are a little bit, these would be the things that kind of get copied and pasted between different providers, I guess, for want of a better wording of that. In the same way that we do now, like for example, if I take a look at the OpenStack one, packer.json here, we've got a bunch of variables in here. Again, there's no Kubernetes stuff in this one in particular, but you can see how it can extrapolate. So if you take that packer.json, you've got the variables definition for OpenStack here. So that's all the variables defined there. And then I've got my actual Packer HL set up here. So you've got, pretty much just extrapolated how it works in the JSON out into HL. And it worked. There was no messing around. The only thing I will say is the common vars for this Ansible one, because this is a string of information that gets passed through into Ansible in some way or another, it ended up having to go into the locals, which would be a per provider setup, which I'm not too happy about. So I'm still trying to work out how to get around that at the moment. But other than that, it seems to work quite well. So I think the reason I couldn't put this into, for example, this one here as a variable like it is over in the JSON is because because this is a vars file in itself, I couldn't then pass more vars into it to be parsed through. So that's why it went into our locals in the end. And then we passed variables in to deal with that. So there's a few things that I may have to work around and things like that. But to be honest, before I even started getting into it, it was more just a case of, is there any appetite for this at all? You know, can we see a way that this is worth it? You know, with everything that's happened around Packer and the license change, are we going to stick with it, or are we going to look at something else potentially? Or yeah, it was just so it's just kind of a, is it worth it? Is it worth me wasting my time doing it if we're not going to want it? You know, I didn't want to sit there and go, hey guys, look what I've done, and then you go, yeah, we don't want that. You know, so yeah, it's quite a bit of work to do. But with how easy it was for open, and obviously the other thing is I've got no way of testing any other environments at the moment. I'm literally restricted to OpenStack, so I would need everyone else in their own little world to do their bits, like, you know, Nutanix and yourself in Azure, or someone else in Azure, and yeah, you know, the vSphere people and everyone to do their bits. But it was just a thought, and I thought I'd raise it just to see if it's worth it. Maybe I can get a separate branch going where I start doing a bit of migration and have an ongoing pull requests that we kind of look through and test and see if it works for people. You know, we're talking 6 to 8 months of testing, I would say, of people trying it out and make sure it works for them before we even do a merge into main of any kind. And, you know, so yeah, sorry, Marcus, go ahead. So you got a question?
No, I just want to say we actually have an issue for this in our
Oh, do
repo.
we?
I've just
Mhm.
posted
okay.
it into the agenda under your note. It's
Okay.
quite an old one from February 2022.
Oh, okay. It's only a few
Um,
years.
but it's been kept alive since then. So there
Okay.
is appetite for it.
Okay.
Just not enough yet for somebody to take it on, because
Do the whole
as
thing,
you said, there's a
yeah.
lot of testing that's probably going to have to
It
take
is a
place.
massive amount of work, yeah. There's no doubt about that, and I'm not under any illusions that I'd be able to do all of this by myself. But, you know, I could do a good chunk of it, is what I'd say, and then I'd have to go, right, everyone go and test it in your relevant environments, because I can only do so much on my side.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it might be worth it. It might not. Like I say, I think it might make pull requests a little bit cleaner when it's not often we change those common vars, but when we do, reading through is quite painful just to go and find that one little change. It's
Yes.
and I'm sure we all agree on that one at least. And that
Yeah,
was
I
kind
was
of
as soon as I saw that, I'm kind of sold actually. That's because that's probably the worst part of editing the JSON
yeah.
is you have to maintain that gigantic long string. It's impossible to read the diff. Um, so
One of
and yeah,
the
I think Packer has been encouraging us to move to HCL for quite a while now,
Yeah.
and they still document all the YAML and all that, but there's more features and the new documentation is written around HCL. So we've known for a long time they want you to move there, and we have that issue that said this would be a good idea. I think just we didn't dig in there because, as you obviously noticed, it's a ton of work.
It is, yeah.
And what was your other question? Anyway, I think it would be great. I'm just curious if there is a way we could actually do it sort of piecemeal, so it's not so high stakes.
That was kind of my other wondering. So the other approach I was thinking was that we do have it merged into main, but either there's a separate make file, so obviously it's all still done via make and everything in the same way, or we have separate targets like, I don't know, build packer something. You know, like we literally build a new chunk at the bottom of the current make file that starts doing the HCL stuff as a separate thing altogether, maybe new build targets, whatever it might be. Yeah, I don't know. There was a few things I was thinking about how we could do it. I just didn't want to start replacing it as it was, because that's just dangerous. That's asking for trouble. You know,
Well,
that's
and the
asking
other
for a
thing,
rollback. That's
the
all
other
that's
thing you
doing.
were asking, which is a very pertinent question, is are we really planning to stick with Packer for the long
Yes,
term?
yeah,
Would this be wasted time? My read is yes, we probably are. I don't see anything
yeah,
replacing it, and I'm starting to think about maybe we should approach upstream CNCF lawyers again and just make doubly sure that we can move to the the new license version, because Microsoft said
yes,
we could, and I think we're probably at that point where we're using 195, which was released like last November, and we're getting away with it. But at some point, that's so my feeling is yes, we're going to stick with Packer. I don't see anything
yeah.
replacing it. Yeah.
No, I don't, and I've not seen any open forks like the Open Tofu stuff for Terraform and things like that coming out. So I think it's it would be sensible. Plus, there is the element of, like, say, we need to probably consider upgrading the versions we use soon as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be worth a reach out again. But yeah, that's all it was really. It was just kind of a starting the discussion, I guess, around it and seeing what you thought and
We,
if it's worth
we
me
do have
starting to
a
spend a bit of time on
couple,
it.
we do have a handful of HCL files in the project just for like,
Mhm.
I guess, loading
Mhm.
plugins and stuff. So that just made me
Yeah.
think, oh, maybe we could only
Yeah.
convert like one provider at a time. Could we convert just like a single provider? And if
I
we
could do
allowed
the
some
OpenStack first.
duplication of,
Yeah, I mean, I could do the OpenStack first. I mean, I've already done the majority of the work. I just need to insert the Kubernetes bits back in, essentially, because this is my own repo on the side for work that I've just kind of. I took the Kubernetes image builder project because I thought that's a good place to start, and if it works, it goes back in, sort of thing. And if it doesn't work, it's a separate thing, and I've not messed with the original project in any way whatsoever. But the fact that it has kind of worked, it is easier to maintain as well. Like I said, when I've come back to do something later, I've just gone, oh, I just need to go here and do this. And it's really easy to just see straight away where I need to go for stuff. Not that the JSON way is not easy. It's just, it's JSON, isn't it? It's a lot of JSON at the end of the day. That's what it is. It's not quite as well structured, I would say, as what it could be. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do the OpenStack one first, because obviously that's when I work directly in, and then I can start prodding at other bits. And maybe that gives us an idea of how we can step this in slowly, provider by provider. Maybe if I do that one first, we can then discuss that, oh yeah, the implementation of how we do that is right or wrong or needs changing here, there. Just thought, yeah.
I think that'd be good.
Oh,
sorry, that's my phone.
totally forgot what I
Still
was
getting
gonna say.
messaged.
Oh, I guess one other trade-off is we would be requiring people to learn a new language, technically.
Yes.
Although it doesn't look
Yes.
like there's much of a learning curve. And if you're gonna, and YAML's not really a language, like you have to look at the docs anyway to know what to do with it. So
Yeah.
so
Especially
it is a
if the docs
concern,
are
but
now pushing HCL, then
They are. And to be honest, it wasn't, whilst yes, there is an element of it being a different formatting, I guess, is probably the way I'd word it myself. It is a different language, but it's familiar, is what I would say. So if I take each object within the top level JSON, they just translate into Packer HL really easily. Like it's pretty much like for like. You just change it a few semicolons for an equals and things like that. There's not too much in terms of. I wasn't sat there scratching my head going, oh, how am I going to do this? The only one that kind of tripped me up was that Ansible common vars having to go into a locals so that variables could be inserted in. I didn't love that. And it does mean that if you change it in one place, you're changing it in multiple. So I need to see if there's a way that Packer supports having a global locals file, as it were. I just don't know. I've not used Packer enough in depth to know that for sure.
As a last resort, we could always just use symlinks. Have a single location for it and just have it symlinked across to the other providers. We've done that.
That's a very good point.
Places.
Yeah, we have done that somewhere
not great,
in the project because
no, but it would work. It would work.
Because I always edit that file. I search for some string, I find it in that file, I edit it in one place, and then I go look in the search window, and all the other ones changed. Oh, that was the symlink file. It confuses me every time I run across.
Yeah.
But it works,
and a thought has just occurred that I can reference multiple var files. So I wonder if I just reference a locals file instead of a var files, it will just work anyway and pick that up. If that works, then that's fine. So I just haven't tested that. I just kind of thought of that right now on the spot. I just went, oh, actually, that might work. Maybe. I don't know. I suspect it would, because I don't think the PKR vars.htl is the extension. I imagine the .htl is the extension it's looking for when you reference a vars file. So it may work. I'll give that a go first, because if that works, that solves that problem straight away. So that could be a solution there. I'll have a play.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like any learning curve that we would impose on people by having to learn HCL is pretty much erased by the fact that you can just use the default Packer docs now instead of having to like jump. Oh, here's the old docs.
It's funny you should say that. No, I was just going to say, sorry, it's funny you should say that, because there was a few things, like I noticed there was a build timestamp or something like that, which just used timestamping double curly braces. That doesn't exist in HCL's version of the docs. It's only in the JSON version. So I had to then go looking for the functions that are now being used for that. So, and it was actually harder to find the original timestamp method than it was to find the new one. So there is a few things now where I'm just going, actually, like you say, they are pushing that HL approach. So yeah, sorry, Marcus, go on.
No, I was just going to say one of the things mentioned in that issue that I linked to as the reason for switching to HCL as opposed to JSON is HCL can have comments in it.
Mhm.
And you can actually
Yes, it can.
comment why things are a certain way in the file,
Yeah.
whereas you can't do that in the JSON files. So we
Mhm.
can actually add more context to the stuff that we have in there
Yeah.
than we currently do.
That's
That
great.
is a good point, actually. I hadn't even thought about the fact that I have just been adding comments as I've gone to this repo. And now you've just said that. I went, oh, yeah, of course, we can't do
Yeah.
that in the JSON, can we? So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Mm.
So there
Yeah.
might be a use case here for it. So I'll have a play is what I'll say. And we can see where we go from there, I guess. And
I'm good.
iterate and see if we can improve as and when. So I've been working on, I said I've done the OpenStack. I've also been working on the QEMU and RAW, actually, because they're the other two that a couple of my colleagues wanted to use. So they might be good starting points, actually, to take and then see where I can go from there. I mean, I won't promise anything quickly. I'll say it's going to take some time. It's just something I'll while away on in the background.
Well, you can sign me up for
Mm.
doing the Azure conversion but once I see your PR, so I can do a lot of copy paste.
Yeah, that's fine. And to be
Yeah,
honest, I
I
will
can
say
probably
that
help with the AWS as well.
it is one thing actually that it really helped me understand how the image build repo was put together more so than I ever have, because I was digging through so much of it. I just went, oh wow, actually this is happening. Oh yeah. Do you know what? I understand that make file so well now. Like that make files always blew my mind. Like, but now I totally get it. The whole thing I totally get. It's great.
Oh, good.
You're the only person who's ever said that.
Yeah, I was going to say you'll have to teach us.
I just because I'd sit there reading through what each bit did to understand it. I just kind of went, oh, I get it now. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I make file all over that. So yeah,
Cool.
I finally
You're
get
gonna
it.
regret saying that.
I know. I'm going to be the guy to PR that, and I want to. Yeah, but yeah, okay. I'll start playing around with it. Also, I will get a Ubuntu 24 in for OpenStack soon as well, and probably some Rocky Linux stuff as well, because we've been needing that recently at work. So I might try and throw something in for that just to expand it out a little bit. Maybe for the next release. So that's a separate thing, but just thought I'd mention that as well, because I know we're doing a lot of 24 stuff now. It's out, aren't we? So
Yeah.
yes.
There wasn't really any, as I was saying earlier, I don't think there was any particular business driver. It just seems like instead of being purely reactive like we usually are in Image Builder, let's try and get a little ahead of this one. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, cool. But yeah, that's everything from the world of HL that I've had in the past week. So
that's great.
I shall keep you posted on it.
Cool. I guess that's all we had on the schedule. Any other randomness we want to talk about? Should we call it good?
I'm good.
There's nothing else I can think of. That sounds great though. Cool.
Cool. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Online.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.